are talking about inner wisdom tonight. Lanie is a coach and an artist, and she is just an amazing creative spirit that can help us find our way back into this deep trust that we have with ourselves, with our own inner landscape, with our own inner wisdom. And so let me just go ahead and formally introduce Lanie. She works with driven helping professionals who have lost their joy for life. And she helps them trade the overwhelm and the burnout for vitality and success. That is such an amazing thing to be doing. Hey, K Rex, so good to see you in the house tonight. Yeah, and then there's Rich. Hi, Rich. We're talking about inner wisdom and creativity. I'm sure this is a topic you'd love to hear about. So, Lanie, tell us a little bit about how you got started using creativity to really help professionals find their way back in their life.
Yeah, so I've been in just adjusting my volume here. I've actually been in the field, I guess you could say, as an art therapist. My art therapy career kind of started as a student researcher overseas, and to be honest with you, it was kind of an overwhelming event. I experienced my own overwhelm, and I learned really quickly that I was going to have to find ways to take care of myself in order to be in the field and working with clients. And so it's been a passion of mine for the decade that I've been doing this now. There was always this kind of thread throughout that I was super interested in help for the helper. And so I made that the focus of my thesis work in grad school. And even though I went on to do a lot of work with trauma and substance abuse and working in a lot of different populations, I was always doing my work and always looking at, the role of help for the helping professional. And so when I went on to open a private practice, I synchronistically attracted lots of other therapists and helping professionals, nurse practitioners, physical therapists, massage therapists, life coaches. So just basically helpers that want to do their own work. And so that was about 5 years ago, and I've been kind of nurturing and evolving this practice into its own kind of signature approach ever since.
Wow, I can just imagine that your work must be in a very high demand, because with so many people out there in the helping professions, what I see is oftentimes it's their self-care that really kind of goes to the wayside. And I'd love to talk, tonight we're going to be talking about trusting your inner wisdom. How do you help these um, these helping professionals? How do you help them begin to trust their own inner wisdom?
Yeah, a big part of this is learning to be in your body and learning to be in the present moment and learning to be grounded enough to have clarity of mind so that you can hear what's coming from within. So often we're super, we just live in a culture where everything's fast paced and it's thinking dominant. And we just are we heavily kind of lean on logistical linear processes. We want everything to kind of have a strategy. And the truth is that we need the mind body connection. And, the science is beginning to show that more and more, what ancient practices and wisdom have known all along. And so really the way I work with clients is to get them very embodied. And that is part of where the nature, and I know we've talked about that before, both have that love of nature, but nature is very grounding. So I'm using nature and the environment to teach clients how to connect to the present moment, connect to the environment, connect to their own inner nature so that they can be in the present moment and get out of the monkey mind so they can really hear what their body's telling them.
So let's dive into this conversation a little bit deeper, especially about the nature and about the art. We both have this love of nature. We're both artists. We both use art in our practice in various different degrees. Um, Me, much more on the surface. You, I think you really dive deep. But tell me, let's just talk a little bit about why nature and art go so well together.
Well, it's funny. I don't even think of them as separate, actually, but well, I'll try.
Well,
I'll try to go
about them
there.
being together and how they are so compatible with one another.
Yeah, yeah, because honestly, I mentioned earlier to you, like us being evolving the last time I spoke to you a few weeks or a month ago, however long it was, it's like I've already changed so much just since then. And so I tend to think of life through that lens of the creative process, that we're always evolving. And so if life is a creative process and we're part of nature and we're part of life, then we're naturally creative. And so part of that, lens that I work with clients through is seeing themselves as part of nature and seeing themselves as creative beings. And in order to be in that creative flow, to experience the vitality and the joy that we spoke of, it's really learning to express themselves and to also let things come and let things go, which is very much a part of the creative process and the cycle of life and nature.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. What do you, when you put art and nature together, how do you tend to um, have your clients work with that? Is it really through meditation or conscious awareness, or are you doing exercises with paint and with creative tools and um, you know that kind of stuff?
All of the above. That's the coolest part of being a coach that has this art therapy background, is that I treat every experience with a client like it's its own art form. So it's showing up to the canvas, showing up to the session and seeing where is it going to take us. And so, what I love is there are some clients that are absolutely ready to dive in and do the work in
Mm.
between. And for those clients, I give them eco art modules that allow them to go deep and spend as much or as little time to get into the process. And then I actually have other clients who don't do as much in between. And so we spend a lot of the session together doing that work together. And so it's really meeting clients where they are. And again, allowing that creative process to show up just as much in art as it is in the session. It's just treating everything like a creative process. So for those clients that do kind of the modules and the activities in between, there's always a nature connecting aspect that's grounding and brings them into the present moment before they get into the creative process. And there's always kind of a closing that is in the journaling piece that allows them to extract the lessons that the nature and the art are teaching them.
Wow, that's so rich. That is just so rich and potent. I really can feel it. Oh my gosh. Well, it's so interesting because what I'm finding in my daily practice recently is that I am absolutely going outside in the mornings. Instead, I was kind of staying inside for a while, and now I'm absolutely outside, surrounded with the bird song and just tapping into that creative song that's happening around me. And I am noticing such a huge uplift in how I begin my day. So, would you consider that a creative act?
Absolutely, because there's different stages to creativity. And one of the first stages is like the incubation and the gestation period. And so before we're actually in the activity of creating, there's that period of letting it kind of sink in. And so that sounds to me very much like you're taking in the environment. You're considering like, what do I want to create today? With every action that you take, you'll be creating something. And each conscious and intentional choice that we choose is going to take us in a different direction. The same way if we choose a red or a blue paint on a canvas, right? It completely changes the nature of the artwork. And so, if we really think of our life and each day as an art form, it can be adventurous. I mean, we can come to the table with so much wonder about, I wonder what's going to happen today. I wonder what I'm going to create today. And that's something that I love helping my clients get into the energy of, even when they're doing things that they love. And this is true for me too. There are days when I have to remind myself of this to get into that energy. And, I have my own coaches and my own support to remind me of that. But to get into that energy of exploration, really, so that it feels like we're coming to the day with the space to create in a curious way, and that allows this sense of play rather than, oh, I need to do this and I should do this and I have to do this, even when it's things that we technically want to do, but we can put that should on ourselves,
Right.
and then it takes the joy out of it.
Yeah, it takes the joy, it takes the wonder, it takes the adventure out of it. Yeah, that's really a great point. So what I'm hearing you say is just like stay open as you know, stay open to the possibility of the creative wisdom that comes to you as you're moving through your day.
Absolutely. And listening, we talked about the body being a big part of the work that I do with clients, and starting from that place. It's like getting your body into a state that feels really good, and then building on that, asking yourself what would feel really good. And to me, that really is tied into our topic for tonight, which is the wisdom of the body and the intuition. It's like, if we can let joy be our compass and move towards the things that are really going to light us up and feel good and stay in that energy. And if we notice that things are starting to shift and we're not in that energy, like staying curious about that, like, I wonder, is this something that I need to, is it the activity that needs to change? Do I need a break? Or is it actually that something that I'm thinking that I'm bringing to this? Have I slipped out of my body in a sense where I'm not present and grounded? So, really, just kind of tying all these pieces together is to me what it is to listen to your inner guide.
Can you tell us, maybe you have some tips to help us listen? I think that's one of the things that's often the hardest. Like, okay, so you start your day and you've got your meditation, you've got your daily practice. And so you start your day up and happy and aware and conscious. And then you're going through your day and then all of a sudden all that consciousness gets away from you. What tell us a
Mm.
little bit about how you keep coming back to center, keep coming back to that listening place.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's a practice. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a daily practice, and it's one of those things where the things that we pay attention to and focus on are what grow. So if we're feeding that practice, then it's going to become more and more natural, and becomes a habit. And so some of the tools that I like to use are, since we were talking about nature, that's an incredible way to keep, I mean, they're almost like anchors all around us. I'm always looking for the beauty, always looking for what's around me that is still and natural, as a reminder, that I'm still, and I can just be like, I'm a human being. It's not all about the doing all the time, because I want to take action from that grounded place of being first. And so, just paying attention to the sunlight and the trees and the wind, and having some conscious awareness if there's, a window or something that you can see that. And if not, that's okay too, because again, we are part of nature. So also finding that spot within you. There's a excellent exercise that I like to do with clients where I have them focus on their core, kind of their womb space between the navel and the pubic bone, and really holding attention there, and coming back to that place again and again, and asking, am I at home? Because if there is a partial awareness, like, you can be doing some other things, but if you have partial awareness in that space within your body, then you're going to hold some grounded attention with your body.
Wow. Wow. And for viewers who haven't really had a daily practice or had a way of really checking in with themselves, how do you suggest that they do that? Is it as simple as setting a timer and going and checking back
Mm.
in, or is it? I'm just curious uh, what it is that how do people get started?
Yeah, I think there's so many ways. I mean, again, back to the creative process, there's like millions of possibilities. And that is something that I love doing with clients, is finding what really resonates for
Yeah.
them. Because for some clients, it could be jewelry. I have clients that wear certain beads, that remind them when they see it. It's like, oh, yes, reminder. Am I home? Am I at ease? Am I in the present moment? I've had clients make their own jewelry, like, one time I had a client make beads that said breathe. So they made the beads out of clay, and then they paint the letters, on each bead so that it says breathe. And there's lots of different, some people don't need jewelry or don't want jewelry. And then there's like other anchors that we can use. For example, I've had clients paint rocks that have um, little reminders. And if you have those around, whether it's on your desk or in your car or in your bathroom, other people respond better to having little postcards and little mantras. So I think there's lots of different
Yeah,
ways.
good. And I like the word that you're using, anchors. These anchors
Mhm.
that are bringing us back to shore, bringing us back to the present moment. And and I would love to ask you to share with us. We were talking about nature just a minute ago, about the sunlight on your skin, about the feeling of the breeze. I'd love for you to just share with us your I am exercise. I thought that was
Mm.
really wonderful when we talked about it last time, and I think that our viewers would get an awful lot from that. Would you be willing to share that with us?
Of course. Yeah, no, of course. I'm glad that you asked. So, yeah, I think the best way to start that really is to just, for anyone watching and for us too, to just find a comfortable seat if you're seated, and just really begin to tap in to your breath and settle into your chair, and just really notice where you're making connection, because much of our talk has been about embodiment and body awareness and present moment awareness. And so just begin to notice that. And if it feels comfortable and it feels safe to you, you can close your eyes. And if you don't feel comfortable or safe closing, you can find a spot on the ground to just focus your attention. And just take a breath in and out. And if you are in an area where you can see any nature, you can begin to look around And if not, you can simply connect to your breath. So there's lots of flexibility in this because your breath is very much a natural part of you. Your sensation of touch and temperature, even movement in your chair is natural. So what I would invite you to do is get curious and just follow your natural attraction. And so it may be your eyes spotting something in nature, or it may be your attention focusing on your breath, or it could be the movement that I was demonstrating before. But just let your curiosity be the guide. And once you've found that attraction, the thing that's pulling you towards it, just be with that. And just notice what it's like to be with that. And when you're ready, begin to describe. And so, for those of you at home that may be watching, you can write down a description. And for Lynn, perhaps you would be willing to share what your natural attraction is and describe it for us.
I'd love to. So I am gazing outside the window. It is dark out, but there is a green papaya tree that has got my attention. And I see it growing strong, and it's young, and it's growing strong, and its leaves are spread out, completely like embracing the night air. And I can see that its leaves are lobed very deeply, almost like a human hand. And I can also see that its stem is very tall and narrow, but it has these like growth spurts in it. And yeah, it's this beautiful papaya plant.
Lovely. And if you were to take that description into the I am statements, how would that sound?
I am growing strong. Oh, that's so awesome. I am embracing the night air, with the darkness, the obscurity of evening. Um, yeah, I am I am reaching new heights.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
It
powerful.
is.
And it's in the neutral too, like, the mind, the thinking mind wants to put things into black and white and good and bad. But what I heard in there was that you're growing strong, and you said that you're embracing the dark.
Mm.
Right. And from a thinking mind perspective, we might want to say like, ooh, that's scary. That's kind of, maybe we should stay away from that. Or, we're kind of taught to move towards the light and avoid the dark. And the difference being that in nature, it's not good or bad. It's all part of the cycle. Even in a creative process, there are things that it's like the birth and death and regeneration, that it's all part of. And so that really is a big part of the work that I do with clients, is having them embrace it all without that judgment piece, because the judgment piece creates resistance. The resistance creates stress. The stress creates the burnout. And so when we're resisting things, so there's a lot of power in just being with what is.
Yeah.
And if we get into that space of not being able to shift our energy. You know, we were talking about like in the morning having that, and then it can kind of maybe fade throughout. There are exercises plural, that I'll do with clients to have them play with shifting their energy using the artwork and using movement and using their body. And so there's always things that we can do. So there's this reminder that we have the power to choose moment to moment what's going to feel
Mm.
good to bring us back to that energy of joy.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's so fabulous. Now, Lanie, you have an ebook that you're going to share with viewers tonight. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so the ebook shares a little bit about my journey. I just touched on it tonight in terms of how I got into the work I do. So there's a little bit more in there about how I came to be so passionate about helping professionals prevent
Mm.
burnout. And it also speaks to a lot of the key foundations that I use with clients, things like essentialism. Not sure if you're familiar with that term, but for those of you who are watching, it really is about a life of simplicity and achieving more by doing
Ooh.
less, by listening to this inner wisdom. And for anyone who's ever seen me speak or that works with me, they're all familiar with this phrase, which is, if it's not a hell yeah, then it's a no. And that's really about letting go of things that drain
Mm.
us. And sometimes that's activities, sometimes that's people and places, other times it's our thinking. And so it's letting go of the things that are not serving our highest good. And so there's a fair amount about that in the ebook, as well as an eco art experiential to help you practice this, something that you can do on a daily basis. And as little as, anywhere from as little as 6 minutes. I've done challenges before where we did it for 8, and it's really life changing when you make this a regular practice. And you get a different experience from every activity that you do. For example, this was your second time doing the I
Mm-hmm.
ams, and it was different than the first. So there, just because you're familiar with it doesn't mean that
Yeah.
you don't get a powerful experience every time. So really cultivating that. And so it can be a fun and different way to ground into the present. I know meditation is very popular. This is a form of meditation in nature with creativity.
Ooh, that sounds juicy. Super juicy. So you're going to put that in the comments, yeah?
Yes, I will copy that
Okay, well,
now.
you can do that as soon, we're gonna wrap up. So go ahead and put those comments in.
Okay.
But I want to know how our viewers can get in touch with you. If somebody's curious about the style of
Yeah.
work that you do and they want more information, what's the best way to get them in touch with you?
Yes, so my website is laniesmithcoaching.com, and that's actually connected to the free guide that I'm going to post in the
Great.
comments. And yeah, I would love to hear from anyone watching, any questions that you have, any interest of how to apply this specifically to your life, because everyone has different circumstances, and finding a way to fit what works for you. I'd be happy to share more and answer any questions.
Yeah, and so Lainey and I will both be monitoring the comments. And so if you do have any questions, go ahead and just type them in and we'll kind of check this out over the next couple of days and make sure that we get back to you. Lainey, it has been such a pleasure to have you tonight on the Tuesday Talk series. And I just love the work that you're doing. And I love the fact that you're helping professionals because these people, they're the ones that are doing all the work for all of us and they need a helping hand just like everyone else. And I just think that's fabulous.
Yeah. People helping people. Thank you. It's been lovely to be here and I appreciate it. I love chatting with you and I love our common love for art and nature.
Me too. Me too. Definitely very connected. And for all my viewers out there, I just want to let you guys know that the Ignite retreat is on. January 11th through 14th of 2019. And we are going to dive deep into setting intentions and have the accountability to really move through the entire new year, really manifesting and going for these intentions in bigger, bolder, and more juicy ways than ever before. So I'll also share a link to that in the comments, and I'd love for you guys to check it out. All right, Lanie, love you, girl. Have a
Thanks
beautiful
for
evening.
having me. You too. Fun stuff. Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone, for watching. Bye bye.